When we think of royal weddings, it's easy to get lost in the opulence and grandeur of the event, the lavish dresses and dashing princes riding in on white horses. But what if I told you that behind the closed doors of these medieval celebrations lurked a darker reality? What if I told you that the institution of marriage during the Middle Ages was more than just a union of two people in love? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna talk about some dark realities of medieval royal marriages. So let's dive into this topic. Political chess pieces. In the intricate game of medieval politics, royal marriages were less about finding true love and more about securing advantageous political alliances. Power struggles, territorial expansion, and the preservation of bloodlines were of paramount importance. And the spouses were often seen as pawns in this grand chess match. Marriages were arranged between noble families to cement ties, create alliances, and maintain a fragile balance of power. Often these alliances had been in the works for years before the wedding, with young children being betrothed to secure a future pact. You might be thinking, how young? Well, shockingly young. Marriages involving children, as young as 12, were not unheard of, with the idea being that they would grow up together and consummate the marriage when they reached a suitable age. Can you imagine getting married at 12? That is crazy. These children were expected to fulfill their dynastic duties, produce heirs, and uphold the honor of their family, all while navigating the complexities of courtly life and the expectations of their royal roles. It was a heavy burden to bear. Stranger spouses. Forget the fairy tale notion of meeting the love of your life at first sight. In many cases, medieval couples were meeting for the first time on their wedding day. The groom might have heard tales of his bride's beauty or her family's prestige, but they had never actually met. The first time they laid eyes on each other was at the altar. After the ceremony, they would retire to the bridal chamber where the consummation of the marriage took place. This can be quite an awkward situation. Initially, there might have been some shyness or awkwardness as the couple got to know each other in a very intimate setting. However, it was expected that love would develop over time. The idea of love at first sight was not prevalent during the Middle Ages. Courtship rituals were followed, which involved a period of wooing and getting to know each other before marriage. During this time, the couple would exchange letters, meet in public spaces, and engage in polite conversation to establish a foundation of friendship and trust. So basically, they had to become friends first and then work towards developing romantic feelings. This approach allowed them to assess each other's character and ensure compatibility before committing to such a significant lifelong bond. Once married, it was expected that the couple would live together, manage their household, and produce heirs. As time went on, they would likely grow to love each other as partners, parents, and members of the royal court, forbidden unions. While the concept of love at first sight might seem foreign to us, the idea of marrying your cousin probably seems equally bizarre. But during the Middle Ages, marrying your cousin was a common practice among nobility, despite the church actively discouraging it. The primary reason behind this custom was to keep the bloodline pure. It was believed that marrying within the family would help preserve the bloodline and prevent any perceived dilution of the royal or noble blood. This belief was rooted in the idea that hereditary conditions could be passed down through genetics, and they wanted to avoid any potential health issues that could arise from intermarriage with outsiders. The concept of a pure bloodline was also tied to ideas of power and status. By marrying within the family, the nobility believed they were preserving the inherent qualities that made them superior to commoners. They saw themselves as a distinct class of people with unique characteristics and abilities that should be kept within the family group. Now, you might be wondering why the church prohibited it if it was so common. Well, the church taught that marriage between close relatives was forbidden, citing Leviticus 20 verse 21, which states, "And if a man shall take his father's wife, or his mother's wife, and it shall come to pass in a bed together, both of them shall surely be driven out of their city." Despite this prohibition, the practice continued due to the higher importance placed on dynastic considerations and societal norms. Marrying your cousin may seem odd to us today, but it was a common practice during the Middle Ages, driven by beliefs in preserving bloodlines and maintaining societal norms. It is time to take a deep dive into another aspect of medieval royal marriages that might leave you feeling shocked. Consummation under observation. The consummation of a royal marriage was not just a private and intimate moment between the couple. Oh, no, it was an event that was witnessed by courtiers. This might sound bizarre to us now, but it was common practice during the Middle Ages for wedding nights to be observed by members of the royal court. The reasons behind this custom are varied and fascinating. First and foremost, it was essential to ensure that the marriage was consummated. This may seem obvious, but in a time when dowries were a common practice, it was crucial to prove that the bride was still a virgin. If the marriage was not consummated, questions were raised about the bride's virtue, which could lead to a demand for a new dowry. Moreover, the observation of the wedding night served to confirm the legitimacy of any children born to the union. In a time when inheritance laws favored legitimate heirs, this was a critical aspect of ensuring the continuation of a bloodline and the protection of family interests. The witnesses, typically a senior female member of the court, were present to observe the consummation without actually intruding upon the privacy of the newlyweds. Their role was discreet and important, ensuring that the sacred union was fulfilled and any potential complications were addressed promptly. The consummation of a medieval royal marriage was not just a private affair, but a public event with witnesses ensuring its success for the continuation of the bloodline and the satisfaction of dowries. Hidden scandals. The royal bedchamber was not just the place where marital duties were performed. Oh, no, it was a stage where hidden scandals played out, affecting the very foundations of medieval kingdoms. While the consummation of a marriage was witnessed to ensure legitimacy and other propriety, once the deed was done, the royal bedroom became a place of secrecy and intrigue. Here, behind closed doors, affairs were conducted, power struggles played out, and dark secrets were kept. Royal marriages were not always about love and duty. Sometimes they were about convenience, power, or political expediency. And the sanctity of the bedroom was often breached when monarchs engaged in extramarital affairs. These liaisons could be with members of the court, nobility, or even commoners. And the royal bedchamber became the site of these illicit encounters. For example, King Henry VIII of England had numerous mistresses during his lifetime, bearing him illegitimate children. While his marriages were dissolving in the halls of the Tudor dynasty, his royal bedchamber echoed with scandal. Power struggles also unfolded in the royal bedroom. Spouses who were not truly in love or who had been arranged into marriages for political reasons often used their position to advance their own interests. They formed alliances, manipulated situations, and played one person against another to gain the upper hand. For instance, the infamous Borgia family in Renaissance Italy, known for their cunning and ruthlessness, expertly maneuvered the royal courts and bedrooms of Europe, securing power and influence through strategic marriages and affairs. Finally, the royal bedchamber was a place where dark secrets were kept. Royal mishaps, hidden identities, and even plots against the crown often found their way into these four walls. To protect their reputation, their dynasty, or their very survival, monarchs and members of the court confided in the secrecy of the bedroom. The anonymity provided by the closed doors allowed them to reveal their vulnerabilities, fears, and schemes without the risk of public scrutiny or reprisal. The price of power. Royal marriages were not merely about love and companionship. They were primarily a means to secure political alliances, expand territories, and maintain bloodlines. The bride and groom were often seen as commodities, their value determined by their lineage, wealth, and the strategic advantage they offered. In this transactional world, love took a back seat as power and duty dictated the terms of the union. Arranged marriages were the norm, with parents or guardians making decisions on behalf of their children. Compatibility, affection, and even the consent of the individuals involved were secondary considerations. Marriages were brokered through negotiations between families, with dowries, land rights, and political agreements taking center stage. The emphasis on securing advantageous matches led to a proliferation of marriage brokers and go-betweens who facilitated these unions. These intermediaries played a crucial role in shaping the course of royal relationships, ensuring that the intricacies of each match were carefully navigated to achieve the desired political outcomes. Royal marriages were a complex dance of diplomacy, strategy, and sometimes manipulation, where the pursuit of power often overshadowed the importance of individual choice and happiness. So there you have it, a glimpse into the darker aspects of medieval royal marriages. A world where children were wed at tender ages, where spouses were often strangers at the altar, and where the sanctity of the bedroom was routinely violated. It's a far cry from the fairy tales we tell ourselves about happily ever afters. But hey, that's history for you, full of surprises, isn't it? Thanks for joining me on this journey through time. Until next time, stay curious, stay questioning, and remember, history is never as simple as it seems.